Thousands of people are protesting in Ireland against the continued lockdown due to the coronavirus, as well as the requirement to wear masks. And speaking of wearing masks, why is it that one U.S. presidential candidate says he will create a mask mandate if he's elected? Wouldn't that mean that we'll all be wearing masks well into 2021? I'm Ben Swan, and this is Truth in Media.
Need to lock down the country, but we do also not need compulsory or mandatory vaccinations. So say no to mandatory vaccinations. No.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. So much to get to today. I want to talk about what's happening in Ireland, as well as this claim by Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential candidate, that if he is elected, he will require a mask mandate. We're going to talk about the consequence of what that looks like in a minute. But before we do, a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Create Tailwind. Create Tailwind will teach you the aspects of Austrian economics through something called infinite banking, essentially a system where you can bank yourself the way that Fortune 500 companies and high net worth individuals do. Jim Oliver and Bob Burnett, they will teach you the principles of infinite banking. You can watch my 25-minute interview with them. It explains in great detail what they're doing, and you can learn much more right now at their website, createtailwind.com. All right, so let's talk about what's happening in Ireland first. Over the weekend, thousands of people turned out. They were essentially protesting the wearing of masks and the continued economic lockdown. Take a look at these pictures here from the scene.
The government should stop testing. The media need to stop reporting on cases, and every aspect of the lockdown has to be stopped. So no lockdown, no masks, no social distancing, no infringements of our rights, no forced vaccinations, and most of all, children should not be interfered with in the schools.
The protest was organized by the group Health Freedom Ireland with support from Yellow Vest Ireland, attracting support and publicity from far-right figures, although Health Freedom Ireland has said it is a non-political organization. Ms. Murrow criticized the lockdown and said the numbers who died from COVID-19 alone did not constitute shutting down society. She said it was tragic that hundreds of people died during the lockdown without their loved ones present. Another speaker, Professor Dolores Cahill, urged the crowd to write to their doctors, asking them if they would prescribe hydroxychloroquine to the vulnerable and elderly, saying, quote, "We have the treatment, we don't need the lockdown." And of course, the Irish Times has to point out there was no social distancing at the event, and the majority of protesters did not wear masks. That's kind of the point of the protest. But having said that, it's very interesting that we are seeing some of these areas around the world where big groups of people are turning out in protest. As I just told you, Ireland had it happen this weekend. Last month, it was Germany. Canada is also seeing some big protests as well. But as that's happening, you have to ask this question. For those of you who are watching, especially in the United States, who say, well, I don't see why this is such a big deal. Can't we just wait a few more months and then all things will be back to normal? It doesn't seem like things are turning out that way. In fact, if you listen to the language being used by people like Bill Gates or even Joe Biden, who's running for president on the Democratic side, that's not what they're saying. In fact, they're saying that coronavirus, that lockdowns, that social distancing and mask wearing will all continue until at least the end of 2021. In fact, in an interview with The Economist just last week, Bill Gates said that millions more people would die over the next year and that the coronavirus will come to an end, but not until the end of 2021. Most of these deaths, he said, would be caused not by the disease itself, but by the further strain on healthcare systems and economies that were already struggling. He also lamented the politicization of the response to the virus in America and the spread of conspiracy theories, some implicating him, both of which have slowed efforts to contain the disease's spread. But he offered reasons for hope in the medium term, predicting that by the end of 2021, a reasonably effective vaccine would be in mass production, and a large enough of the world's population would be immunized to halt the pandemic in its track. So Bill Gates says not till the end of 2021 that this is now the new normal. That's the term that's being used. But something else that caught my eye this week. Former Vice President and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden now running a political ad essentially saying that if he is elected president, he will institute a new mask mandate. Watch this.
We're seeing it again. The virus spreading out of control. The president once again failing to act. Joe Biden knows we need to listen to medical experts and take action now. That starts by expanding testing, calling for mask mandates nationwide, starting immediately, and producing more protective gear here at home. Fighting this virus and rebuilding our economy will take a president who's ready to lead.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
So you got that. Joe Biden says that if he is president, there will be a mask mandate. But here's the thing. If Joe Biden becomes president, he won't take office until late January of 2021. And after he's elected in late January of 2021, then he will institute a national mask mandate that will extend for how long? Another 4 or 5 months, 6 months, a year? How long is this expected to go on? What they want to say now is that this is the new normal, that we have to get used to the idea of social distancing and wearing masks. And that is where I think there's going to be a massive pushback in the coming weeks and months, when the public realizes that even though we were told originally we just have to flatten the curve, then we were told we just have to socially distance for a few months, then we were told we need to keep our distance and wear masks for a few weeks. In fact, one scientist said if we just wear masks for 6 weeks, we will absolutely crush coronavirus. But it hasn't happened. And yet now the talk is about the end of 2021. Some of you out there are hoping and saying that you think after the election it'll all be over. As soon as the election's over, this will come to an end. But listen to what Bill Gates is saying. Listen to what Joe Biden is saying. They're not saying that. They are prepping you and priming you for the reality that they plan to keep this system in place until the end of 2021. And if you are a billionaire in this world, if you are a Jeff Bezos or a Bill Gates, why wouldn't you keep that system? The cadre of 643 Forbes certified billionaires grew their collective wealth by an estimated $685 billion from mid-March through early August of this year. That according to a fresh analysis of Forbes' real-time billionaires data by Americans for Tax Fairness and the Institute for Policy Studies. To be clear, that's just the increase in wealth. In total, the richest 0.000019% of the U.S. population, which includes household names like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill Gates, hold $3.6 trillion in combined wealth as of August 5th, 2020. The reality is the world's billionaires during this pandemic have only become richer and more powerful. Tech giants have only gained more control over society, and e-commerce has run most of its small business competition out of business. If you're a billionaire, this new normal is absolutely working for you. It's just not working for the rest of us.